So this is the Galaxy S22 Ultra, and I've used this phone for an entire year, and this is no doubt my favorite phone thus so far. Now this design is, I still think the S21 Ultra design is way better than this, but throughout the year this patternless camera design have been growing up on me. It's really good. I think it has that utilitarian, proud look to it, and yeah, at any glance, if someone looked at this, they could tell that this is not a $200 budget phone, it's a premium phone. So yeah, the design on this is really good, and it has also Gorilla Glass switches on the front and the back, and it has aluminium rails on the sides. And after a year, I haven't damaged anything. No screws, no nothing, no deep screws, no bends in the aluminium frame. I have dropped it multiple times with the case, without the case. The durability on this is really good, but I still recommend you getting a case for this phone, because I think a case is essential, because you can't always trust a phone's durability, because glass is always glass. So something that the other S series phones didn't have in the past is the S Pen. Now I've used many other Samsung phones, from the S4 to S6, S8, S10 Plus, S21 FE, and the S22 Ultra. And before the S22 Ultra, none of them had an S Pen. So when I saw the online reviews on this phone, which other people like Mr. Who's the Boss did, I was like, why do you need a pen in a phone? Like, even in the Note series, I was like, the pen is kind of like useless. There's only a few times you're going to take it out. But after getting this phone, I've used the pen more, like every single day I've used this pen. Like every video you see on this channel is edited on this phone, and everything I did was on this S Pen to get the precise location and stuff. And every photo edit that I uploaded to Instagram, by the way, if you aren't following me there, just think about following me there on Instagram. But every photo edit I did is with this pen. Everything I drew for fun, for commercial purposes, and many other stuff, I just love this pen. And especially the most important thing for me as a photographer is that you could use this S Pen as a remote controller. So if you put this phone on a tripod and go far away and just press this button on the S Pen, then your phone will immediately take a photo. So and there are many other things you could do with this pen, which I will be doing a video soon, then you will know. So stick with my channel for that video, and subscribe to the channel for that video. The other great feature on this phone is its display. Now the display on this is absolutely gorgeous. Where do I start? Okay. Let's start with its brightness. Now it's really bright even when you're outdoors, and only in a certain angle you can't read because of the reflection, and in any other angle you could probably read anything on the screen, and you would even watch YouTube and many other content even when you're outdoors. So the brightness on this phone is not something you should worry about, and the vision booster that Samsung introduced last year has been working really fine, really great actually. And the other thing is that this display is a 2K display instead of the 1080p you get on normal smartphones. So this is also an adaptive to 120Hz LTPO display. So that means that this could refresh between 120 and 1 Hz, and the bezels are really thin because of the curved display. Because it's a curved display, the bezels are really thin except for the chin, and yeah, the display is really good on this phone. So now let's talk about the cameras, and let's start off with the selfie camera. Now this is the 40 megapixel ultra high resolution selfie camera, and when you enable that 40 megapixel mode and take photos from that 40 megapixel mode, the photos do look like they were taken on a DSLR, and because they have that really good background separation. And when you take regular selfies in 12 megapixel mode, I mean, I can barely tell the difference between the 12 megapixel and 40 megapixel photo. But I mean, if you're looking for the detail is there in either mode you take. But yeah, the photos do look punchy, and they have the contrasty look. And something that I've noted to all throughout these cameras, as you can see in the samples, is that they all look contrasty, punchy, vivid, and has that live effect to them. So they are basically Instagram ready when you take, and basically the photos are edited as well. So I think the majority will prefer this kind of edited photo. And the front video is really good as well, because many other companies like Xiaomi, Vivo, Oppo do not offer you 4K recording with the front camera at all. But they are only limited to 1080p, which is kind of sucks. So seeing that Samsung's front camera allows you to record not only in 4K but 4K at 60 frames per second, 60 frames per second, that's really impressive. And lately I've started to use the selfie camera more than the wide cameras themselves. So the selfie camera is really solid on this phone, and I think even to date it really stands out among the competitors. And now let's get back into the rear cameras. Now let's talk about daylight photos. And the ultra-wide camera in daylight photos is sharp, it's good, it has that vivid nice look to it, and I mean everything about the day photos of ultra-wide cameras is really good. And the main 108 megapixel photo, I mean they are really solid too, but it just has that over sharpened look when you're taking 12 megapixel mode. So I tend to use the 108 megapixel mode, which is about a 40 megabyte file, when I mostly get scenery photos. So the 108 megapixel mode is not trashed as many people talk online. It is really useful. I use it for the most part when taking group photos, when taking birthday party photos, when I want to take a photo that is going to be printed, which I've used for myself. I used this 108 megapixel camera to print a poster for myself, and the detail was much better than the normal standard DSLR camera. The 12 megapixel default photos are kind of over sharpened, but not to the point it's over sharpened as like the iPhone 14 Pros, but it's kind of really good in either way. And yeah, the main photos of the main camera, the daylight photos of the main camera are really solid too. And the 3 times camera in daylight is the same story. And the 10 times, the special difference is the 10 megapixel, when taking photos with the 10 megapixel 10 times optical zoom, it's really soft and has that really taken from a camera look, professional camera look to it, because it's not over sharpened. So that's a really good thing that Samsung's done with the 10 times optical zoom. And now let's get into nighttime photos, and because that's the thing that Samsung advertised most when the S22 series launch. Now, nightography. In the start it wasn't the most pleasing thing. I mean, it was really good at start, but after many updates it's been really good. It's been really good at it, especially at nighttime video. Now, the ultra-wide photos of nighttime isn't as impressive as in daytime, but still good. And the main is really good when you're taking night mode photos, and the 3 times still is also really good. I took one sample of the lower Mahapai in Anuradhapur, and it was at around 7:30 to 7 p.m. And after I took the photo and I shared it with some of my friends, they said this could not be a night mode photo. This was probably taken at 2 p.m. So I mean, the photos just look so bright that they kind of look like they was taken on the day. So I mean, I don't want to tell that the night mode photos in here is really good, except for the 10 times, because I think Samsung knows this. That's why Samsung said that the nightography features are optimized for the ultra in the main and the 3 times, but they didn't mention the 10 times. But if you want, you could take photos at 10 times recording, at 10 times zoom, if you wanted to. And speaking of zoom, I just want to touch on zoom. Now, zoom is one of my favorite things about this phone, and that's the only reason I didn't upgrade to the S23 Ultra, because there was nothing major in zoom levels. And starting from the ultra-wide, it's really good. The main, okay. 3 times telephoto, okay, that's really good as well. And 10 times telephoto is just nuts, really beautiful, smooth photo. And you can go to 30 times and still get a usable photo. I remember taking my Galaxy S8, S6 and just trying to zoom in as far as possible to get something as a photo usable result, and yet I am even today surprised that we have in my hand that I am holding a phone that could take 100 times zoom photos of the moon and stuff. Like I recently took 100 times shot of the moon and the sun. They both looked incredible, and the sunset photos of the 100 times, the 30 times and the 50 times that's really incredible. I really enjoy zooming into random stuff, random people, my neighbors and stuff, and so it's kind of a sneaky tool too. So zoom is really good on this one, and I don't need to tell you about that. And let's go into video itself, daylight video. Now, daylight video you could record in 8K 24 FPS. Now, I know most people don't, but I tend myself to record 8K at 24 FPS, even though it's janky and cropped in. It just looks much more smoother than the over-sharpened UHD videos of the normal mode. Now, the UHD aren't bad, but the, I mean they are really good, but not good as the iPhones. And that's why I tend to use the 8K more than not. So yeah, all this. By the way, all of these cameras can record at UHD 60, and you could zoom between either of those when you are recording UHD 30. And yeah, video is not bad, but in daytime all of them look great, but at night time video is a lot of noisy. I mean, it's still visible and still bright, but there's a lot of noise going on in the video, as I noticed in my previous tests. And let's get into portrait mode, because I think to date this phone and the S23 Ultra are really similar in portrait mode, and because of that I can safely say that this phone still holds up as the best portrait cutout phone, best phone that gives the best cutouts of any. I mean, the background, the only thing that stops me from I mean, not stops me, but the only thing that I don't like about the portrait mode is the unnatural background blur. I mean, it's gotten better over the years, but it's not to the point where I could replace it with the DSLR. But I do think that time is coming soon enough. And there is something also called a Pro mode, and that essentially gives you the entire handleability of your phone's camera, where you can adjust the exposure, the ISO, the white balance, and many more. And there's also a separate app called Expert Pro, where it allows you to take 16-bit RAW photos. So in 16-bit RAW, that's something next level, because a 16-bit RAW photo essentially gives you a lot of editability and a lot of detail to work with. And something that I really enjoyed recently is macro photography. Now, when I see something that is interesting, I just pull my phone closer to that subject, and as soon as I put it close enough, something bam happens, and a macro mode appears from nowhere. And the macro photos on this are really sharp and really good. I mean, the S23 Ultra is better than this, as I've seen in many other reviews, but this still holds up as a really good macro camera. And there are other things in the camera, such as director's view, slow motion, single take portrait video, and things like AR zone, where your phone's camera uses AR to add stickers on your phone. It's kind of like Snapchat, to be honest, and I really enjoyed it too. And there's other things like food mode and hyperlapse, which is essential time lapse. So overall, and all, this camera is still solid, and I would still recommend you buying this phone only just for its cameras. Let's get on to the software side of things on this phone. Now, this obviously runs on One UI, and as I mentioned in my other videos, One UI is my favorite UI for a reason, because it's much more appealing, better, simple, and really customizable than many other UIs I've tested before. Like everything from lock screen to home screen layouts, widgets, everything about this phone is just so good. About One UI is so good. And recently I've updated it to One UI 5.1, and the animation, the Windows transitions, everything is just really smooth and really lively and well animated, to be honest. And things like Good Lock app from Samsung themselves is a really good app for customization if you want that. Like, I customized everything from the look of this phone to keyboard fonts, keyboard, how each key presses on the keyboard, what's the sound generated from each key, what happens when you double tap the side key, what happens when you double tap the volume rocker, like every single thing, from notifications, every single thing I've customized on this phone. And yeah, I think One UI is really solid on this phone, and because it released with 4 years of updates, and it's already on One UI 5.1, it will also get 3 more years of software update, which is the lowest number of updates that other companies will start with. So that's really good to know, and I am really looking forward to many new updates about One UI from One UI. And the other thing I should notice is the software updates are really fast. And getting onto the performance side of things, I think I really like the gaming experience on this phone, and especially with like games like Genshin Impact and many other high graphic games, I'm able to run it at on 60 FPS with the highest graphics available. So I mean, the gaming experience, I don't need to tell, that's very immersive, and really, it's just really like you are living in the game. The game is like really good, and I've only noticed a bug when you like
go on to about 40 minutes of gaming. So nothing really bad, and everything about this game is really good. And the only problem I would say is overheating. The phone would get hot even after like 15 or 10 minutes of using, and the display might as well dim at the same time, so you're not able to keep the constant display brightness throughout the entire game, and that's an issue. But other than that, I think the gaming experience in this is really good. And especially on games like the Need for Speed, I haven't noticed any bugs at all. Every car, I mean, at every scenario on Need for Speed, I haven't ever noticed it being hot or it lagging. So in games like Need for Speed, like this, I really enjoy the experience. But on very high games like Genshin Impact, it might lag a little bit. But on games like this, it's really good. But I'm still bummed that I lost by just 1 meter drifting in this game. So I'm really bummed on that. Why do things always have to be that way?
And by the way, the battery life on this phone has been okay, because I've seen many other people online get about 8 hours of screen on time, but usually I get about 6.5 or 7 hours, 7 or 7.5 to the maximum. And that might be because I'm not a professional one, who I'm not a person with a job, and I'm just a student, so I just spend a lot of time on my phone, so it might be that. So there's no day that I don't use don't there's no day that I don't charge my phone. So yeah, the battery life has been okay, and I'm not going to complain because they have improved it on the S23 Ultra in a huge amount. So yeah, if you get this phone right now, I think you'll be happy with the battery life, because you're not if you're not a person who is going to spend 24/7 with your phone.
And yeah, that's been it. So subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed the video, and see you in the next one. Peace.